a I've never heard that notification when you hit record. You guys must have that Zoom setting turned on.
Yeah, I turn because if you're gonna do it for like a class or something,
You just want people to know.
you got people know like, hey guys, heads up, we're recording this.
This is a legit This is an operation here. There's 3 people on this show.
We got the whole ownership team.
I mean, I can take off if you want. I got shit to do, Ackerman. I don't know if you.
What do you have to do today? You about to tape up your hands?
Yeah, tape my thumbs.
You gonna snatch?
No, it's I got some time right now. The boys are sleeping, So we're launching a membership Monday. We're just trying to get all that in order, but that's basically all I have to do today.
So why are you taping your thumb for an online course?
What's that?
So why are you taping your thumb?
Oh, I'm just kidding. I had tape on my desk here.
The running joke with PT is that he tapes his thumbs for everything, even burpees.
Everything. Ask my wife.
I'm thinking about hitting that support your box workout today. Did you guys hit that yet?
I did this morning, yeah.
What'd you get?
Yeah. I got 10 rounds plus 10 reps. It's not so bad, honestly. I was honestly thinking to myself, like, if this was a 20-minute workout, I probably could last another 5 minutes with that pace, and then I would significantly decrease. 10 minutes is like, I feel like Dave could have gone maybe 12 minutes.
Why? There's going to be a huge kind of cluster of everybody that kind of imammed it like you did?
Yeah, I think so.
Hits it. I would guess the push-ups get the hardest, right?
No.
No?
It's a fun workout because you're kind of just always changing movements. It goes by fast. Like, it's a workout that, like,
it's a lot of transitions.
Next thing you know is there's like 2 minutes left. Basically, you start, and it's a good workout. But I did it with I like the not switching hands. I think that's a cool twist too.
Mm-hmm.
You just go like
so much faster.
So much faster.
Yeah, you don't see that.
You can just really rip it.
That's true. Usually it's alternating. That's true.
It's alternating, and I'm really bad at that, so it just costs me time. Like, I'm not tired, but I just slow down for some reason switching. You professional athletes are much better at that switch than I am.
I talked to I posted that I did it this morning, and Jeff Adler messaged me. He's like, is that your score? I'm like, yeah. And he beat me by like 28 reps. So he finished 11. Like, I was in my 11th round. He finished that round.
Okay, I'm gonna try it some more.
Yeah, it's a good workout.
Yeah.
So it won't destroy you.
Jason, let's talk about your book. So you've got you're gonna show it to us here?
Yeah, this is the demo version of it. I have more in the other room, but
can you actually send us all signed copies, please?
I can't send you signed copies, but I'll send you PDF versions of it. I can maybe send the audio. Funny enough, I just got an email that our audio, I think, was approved. So the audio version should be up, if not right now, as soon as I verify it or whatever has to be done on an email. But I could do like a DocuSign PDF version for you.
Are you gonna?
You need someone to read it, or?
Yeah, like, are you gonna narrate it?
No. So what I did is I hired a professional reader, and when I say I hired, it was an old member of mine from the box who actually does it for a living. So he read the chapters. So the book's 30 chapters, and they're short, 2 to 3 pages each, like a lesson you learn as a box owner or on staff or judging at the games. But then what I did was had an interview done about me, about the chapter, to add to the book. So every chapter now has a more in-depth interview. I got the idea from David Goggins, actually.
That's cool.
You know who David Goggins is?
Of course, yeah.
Right. So he did that for his audiobook, and I had read it, and then I listened to it. I was like, that's a great idea. And it just brought up all these other topics and deeper dives into things that I forgot about. So the audiobook is like literally like 30 hours long.
That's awesome.
David Goggins, is that the guy who wrote Can't Hurt Me?
Yeah.
Something like that? Okay. That. Oh, yeah.
He's a nut.
Someone just broke his someone just broke his pull-up record. He had like the most pull-ups in a certain amount of time, and someone just
a guy on staff tried to beat that, didn't he? Ackerman? He didn't.
Yeah,
He didn't.
Connor, right?
Someone in the UK tried it.
Oh, well, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
No, but I saw what you're talking about. I think it was 18 hours, and he got like 1,400 pull-ups. His hands were trashed.
Who did it? Was it Cameron Haynes?
Yeah, it was. I saw it on Joe Rogan's Instagram.
That's where I saw it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So the book is called Best Hour of Their Day.
Correct.
It didn't start out as a book, right? The concept of best hour of their day. Am I right on that? Did you know that you were going to write this book when you first launched the podcast, and you've got now a mentorship program going on? I really like what you guys did with the podcast. The idea is amazing. I mean, it's just essentially it's a resource to make coaches better, make affiliates better. Am I right on that?
Yeah, it's so good that you guys stole the idea and ran with it yourselves, right?
Exactly.
Oh,
you
mean we stole the idea of having a podcast? Yeah, real original. Yeah, you're the first fucking guy to ever have a podcast, Ackerman.
So you're kind of right about it, Pete. Actually, although the book was already in process before the podcast started.
Okay.
But the idea of the podcast has been going on, like you and Paul, you work together a lot with seminar staff. Fern and I worked together over the years a lot, and we'd always kind of throw out this idea of doing it, and we never did. And in the meantime, I just started writing like blog posts for no one but myself. Like I was journaling more and just writing more, and felt like, okay, I need to have a purpose to wake up and do something other than whatever I was doing. And I started writing more and more. And I was like, hey, I've got like 10 of these now. Can I think of, 20 more? And eventually, as I was doing that, yeah, the book kind of came to fruition. And then in the meantime, we launched the podcast. So it really all spiraled in a positive way, but they were very synergistic.
That's
Jason,
great.
give us a little history, because we're introducing you as someone who just wrote a book, who has a podcast with like 300 episodes. How many episodes
We just passed 200. We just passed 200.
Yeah, so you have 200 episodes of a podcast that's made to help affiliate owners, and a book that you're launching about the best hour of their day. Why
should they listen to you?
Yeah, why should they listen to you? Like, give us a history. Like, you obviously have a shitload of experience, both on staff and as a gym owner and a coach. But give us a little history. Well,
the truth is, I don't know if I'm the best person to listen to. There's probably better people out there like you guys and other great podcasts. But I think if you're listening to this podcast, you're like, why should I listen to Ackerman? I think it's because I have very little talent, and anything I've accomplished has just been due to stubbornness and hard work, be it, running a successful affiliate or getting on staff. I mean, there's a reason you guys are not only on staff, but you're demo team or games athletes, right? So, you guys have a far better DNA than I do for that kind of stuff. But I've been involved in CrossFit since around 2006. I opened 3 affiliates over the years. Am still a part of seminar staff, which I'm very proud of to this day. And I've just learned a lot over the years. And that's really what the book kind of encompassed, all these lessons, which, the book isn't a how-to set up a CrossFit affiliate. I've had people reach out to me that are like, hey, I gave this book to my mom. She doesn't even do CrossFit, but there's just life lessons. And, somewhat of a spoiler alert, the book is really about, hey, try to be a better person, try to listen to people, and be a better communicator. If you do those things, you'll not only run a successful affiliate, but you'll have a successful life. Now, they're not easy lessons. I'm still working on them, but that's kind of the cliff notes of it, if you didn't want to read the whole book.
So it's lessons that you've learned through starting your own affiliate, selling your own affiliate, and then transitioning to maybe also like the online business, because I know you still have your online nutrition stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't talk a whole lot about that in the book, other than it's part of my life. But yeah, so for example, I literally just flipped through and opened lesson 9 is called Keep the Customer Happy. And you'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But then there's a story in there about how this was probably 2008 or 9. I programmed a 5K run for the box. And as box owners, you guys know when you program a 5K run, you're basically looking for an easy day of coaching and hoping not many people show up. So I programmed it and no one shows up for the entire day, like literally 0 people. So what does a, stubborn CrossFit coach do? He programs it again the next day.
The next day, yeah. And you
I was
hide
like,
it.
and you turns out that's not a great idea. Like, your people pay you and they deserve better. But it was all about that lesson of, just because you think it's right doesn't mean it's right for everybody, and doesn't mean it's what you should do.
We
So
usually sorry, go ahead.
That's what the book's all about. Little lessons that I learned over the years, that probably, shouldn't have been that hard to learn, but it took me a little bit of time.
Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway there. It's like things that we used to do early on in our coaching career and ownership career. If you have one conversation with a brand new affiliate owner, you could tell them 3 or 4 things that, like, hey, just don't do this. And I think coming from you and coming from like a lot of guys who now have a lot of experience owning affiliates, like, that's super valuable for someone who's just starting out. And you imagine, like, you can save people probably like a year or 2 of headaches just by giving them some simple little things like that. So that's cool.
Yeah, and at this point to us, they're like no brainers, but they weren't 10 years ago.
No, they weren't. So 10 years ago, you said you started in 2006. You were the original owner of CrossFit Albany, where they had the 2009 sectionals in the parking lot, correct?
Yeah, talking about those bonus chapters, I just had Austin on for one of the bonus chapters in the book, and we were reminiscing about it. I think it was 2010 was the first year he showed up, but yeah, we had the first one in 2009. It was the first time it fed into the games.
Did you personally run that event?
Yeah, so I ran in 2008. I threw together the first ever. James talks about this a lot when he was introduced me at seminars, but I actually threw the first ever CrossFit competition that wasn't a games. So there was the 2007 games, and then my competition was the next thing before the 2008 games. So it was like May of 2008. And because of that, I kind of got on Dave's radar. I talked to him a lot. I had taken my level 2, so I met like Glassman, and Tony Budding at the time was a big part of it. And I threw that competition, which really mimicked the 07 games. We did a 5K, we did a total, and we did a hopper event. And then because of that, when they offered for people to run sectionals, Dave reached out to me and I ran the Northeast.
That's awesome. Who was there in 2008 at your competition? Any names that are still kicking around?
Yeah. Well, you guys know Dennis Marshall, right? From
Yeah.
Garden City. So Dennis was there. Heather, at the time, Keenan, now Bergeron, competed. Yeah. And Tanya Wagner won, who in 2009 wound up winning the games.
Yeah.
And there's probably a handful of other people that I'm trying. The women, I remember a little more. The only other person, but he didn't actually show up, but signed up, was OPT. So he's a Canadian guy, right? Like he was supposed to show up, but he didn't make it. But he was
too far
on the list. But and then no, so it was really cool. Yeah, I'll go back and watch some of the old videos, which are terrible, but you'll see some other people that you probably recognize.
Did you ever think about getting your feet wet there? Did you jump into the competition ever?
No, I never could, because I was always running it. I did a handful of local ones over the years, but I was always, you can't run it and be a part of it as well. It would be unfair.
Obviously.
I would win it, it'd throw everything off. Here's the craziest part about 2009. I had 2 members come in top 10 who were just like random people that did CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
Like one, his nickname was literally Mike the Teacher, because he was a phys ed teacher. He would come in every day, hit one workout, and he came in 10th place at sectionals. Like, that just shows the evolution of this sport. Like, some middle-aged dude that just shows up to class was top 10, almost making it to the games.
That's crazy.
That's amazing. You can still have middle-aged dudes who are just teachers still making the games now, as long as they come from the right country, right?
Yeah, right country, or maybe in the Masters.
We've gone full circle.
That's awesome.
You say James introduces you. Fun fact. You remember James flowed my second internship for seminar staff, and you were on there, and you had an intern as well.
That was at
Boston.
Reebok, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah,
had
someone
another
asked,
Canadian. I had a guy named Mark.
no, you had a guy named Chad.
Oh, okay. Somebody else.
Chad. But I remember because some like early on in one of the lectures, someone asked a question, and it was like, you know, the typical, they ask a question and like you're just about to get there, you know, like good questions that are almost that anticipate where you're going. And I remember you're like, whoa, slow down there, speed racer. I thought that was good. That was a good movie quote thrown into the lecture. That was solid.
I don't remember that, but
You don't, yeah.
I believe it.
Everyone's internship is the most memorable, you know?
Yeah,
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't expect you to remember that, but yeah, the internships are fun.
So
are you still working a bit or what?
Well, I don't think anyone's working much right now.
No, I know, but like in the last little bit, like because you've been busy with other things, like are you?
Yeah, I've never not worked because I've been busy. It's simply how often I'm getting scheduled. When I moved from Florida, I was working nearly every weekend. When I moved to Boulder, I've worked a handful of times, and then this whole Corona thing happened. So it's been less. It's funny. You guys get the same emails. Have you guys requested emails that have been? You get an email response that's like, "Hey, this seminar has been switched to this date." Are you getting those?
oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. So I got one yesterday, and I didn't read it quickly. I was like, "Oh shit! I just got scheduled like in
Yeah.
New Mexico," and I was like, "Oh no, I don't want to fly anywhere." Like, and then I realized it was like it was canceled. I was like, "All right,
Yeah,
good."
same thing happened to me, and I text Pete right away. I'm like, yo, they just scheduled me for Edmonton in a week.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, no. They rescheduled. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I think right away we're like, we don't want to say no. Like we still have that initial feeling,
Yeah.
but I'm like, but I also don't want to die, so I don't know which I should do right now.
Yeah. So how is this? So what are you doing in Boulder?
I'm working with Dave on Thunderbro stuff.
Cool. So mostly like online stuff, all online stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean it's all either online or books. Everything is virtual, but it's this has not impacted us too badly. A handful of people that were following our programming at the gym that don't have it anymore have maybe canceled or postponed their membership, but for the most part, I think everyone's getting somewhat acclimated to training at home.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing programming with with Dave, or are you doing mainly nutrition stuff, or what is it that how are you contributing to Thunderbro?
Primarily with Thunderbro, it's just keeping Dave in line. That's really what I have to do. I mean, he's the face. He does most of the programming. I help out with the Metcons and some of the other stuff, but it's really just, shaking the keys to get Dave to pay attention to what we need to focus on. There's in the virtual space, it's very easy to want to go in a billion different directions,
Mm-hmm.
and it's important to stay focused.
Yeah, going back for a second to is it CrossFit Albany or Albany CrossFit?
It was Albany CrossFit.
Albany CrossFit. How many years did you own that?
7.
7
So
years.
2007, I opened and sold almost to the date in 2014.
And I don't think it's a secret that you had a pretty successful affiliate over there and ended up selling it for a large amount of money.
It wasn't $1 million like Coach Glassman said, but
Okay.
it was more than I would have ever expected to get.
Cool. And so obviously a lot of lessons learned at that affiliate sort of paved the way for you to open up your other 2 affiliates, and then obviously set you on the path to do these other businesses that you've got going on. Own Your Eating, Best Hour of Their Day, now Thunder Bros. You got your hand in nearly everything. Do you think that being that 7-year affiliate owner really did sort of set the stage for everything else? Yeah, answer that first.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be where I am without it. I think not only from a position of I wouldn't know what to do for Best Hour or even Thunderbro or have made it on seminar staff, which I also think opens a lot of those doors. It just matured me as a human being. I was a complete asshole in 2006 and 7. And to some extent, I think you can argue I still am. But, you know, it was more just like, this is my opinion and it's right. And I'm stubborn. And, you know, the examples I give, it's like, hey, we do CrossFit here and we eat paleo. And if you don't want to do those, don't come in. You know, where now we realize, okay, maybe there's other options for nutrition, and, you know, maybe it's okay if someone does a little yoga or a little bodybuilding or, you know, TRX or whatever goes on. Like, be a little more open-minded. I think owning that affiliate allowed me to mature.
What I mean, obviously you love CrossFit and you love helping coaches and gym owners, you know, make their affiliate better. Like, why'd you sell it after 7 years?
There's really two big, maybe more than that. The biggest one was just, I wanted to have more freedom. This is what people don't realize. Like, they only see that I made a big sale, but I was actually trying to stay and trying to buy the gym. So neither of you guys have ever been there, right?
I've been there.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah, when Albany hosted regionals.
All right.
I've been there a handful of times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, I started in one racquetball court, which eventually expanded to 5, and I paved the outdoor area so we can do workouts out there, but it was still smaller than I wanted. And I still was dealing with the ownership of a building being there every day. Like, the Globo Gym was open. I had to deal with those members. And it wasn't your standard Globo Gym. It was like an old school racquetball facility. So it was all old men, you know, cranky old women. And I had to navigate that while trying to run my business. So I approached the owner of the building and I was like, can I buy this building so I can do what I want? And he said, no, but we would buy your gym. So it was not a no-brainer, but I was really a little handcuffed in what I could be doing right now. Throw on top of that, I was still on a lease. So there wasn't any guarantee that he was going to re-sign my lease. And he offered me this money. And I was like, okay, well, it makes sense to do this. Not to mention 7 years, as you guys know, it's like I was getting a little burned out. You know, I look back and I don't think that was the main reason, but it didn't stop me. Like, it helped push me in that direction. If I was still having as much fun as I was in 2007, it might have changed things. But this, you know, 2014 was right around that time where, in my opinion, people were doing way too much. They were way too competitive, and it kind of lost the appeal. It wasn't that same fun, hey, one workout a day and let's just have a good time vibe that it once was.
Yeah, around like 2012, 13, 14, that's when basically when the games really got popular, right? So maybe that was a little bit of the trend in the community of getting away from CrossFit as a fitness program and CrossFit as going closer to CrossFit as a sport. Were you on staff at that point when you sold?
Yeah, I was on staff for about a year at that point. And that didn't, you know, that helped influence me as well. You know, staff at that time, especially, you're working every single weekend. That was when they were putting like 6 or 7 trainers on a weekend. So it's like, well, I've got this thing that I really love. I can chill out more so during the week. It's not as stressful as far as like dealing with other people all day and complaints. So that definitely influenced me.
Yeah, awesome.
And the other two, what were the other 2 gyms that you owned?
So I had Albany CrossFit first, and then I had a gym called CrossFit Clifton Park, which is just, you know, 20 minutes up 87, a little closer to you guys. And then the last one I had was CrossFit Soulshine, which was in Saratoga. So just about another 20 minutes north up 87. So I kind of had a nice little strip running up where they were far enough apart that they didn't really draw members from each other, but also close enough that I can go to any one on any given day.
Did you end up purchasing those, or did you start those?
I started all 3. Albany CrossFit, I was 100% owner. Clifton Park, I was 80% owner, and then Soulshine, I was 50. So, you know, speaking of this book, I had in the second box I owned, CrossFit Clifton Park, I was 80% owner, and my best friend at the time, who was also one of my coaches, was 20% owner, and that ultimately led to a split where we stopped talking for about 7 years. And then right around the time the book came out, unbeknownst to him, he's a chapter in the book, he had reached out to me. And since then we've been talking, regularly again. He was on my podcast. He was interviewed for a bonus chapter of the book like we spoke about. So it's all come full circle. It's been really cool to rekindle that friendship.
That's great. And did you end up, you have 0% in either of those gyms now?
Yep. So I sold the first one, my 100% stake. The second one, I sold my 80% stake to him. And then the third one, I sold my 50% stake to my partner. So I have no brick and mortars anymore. No CrossFit affiliates. Although I still have the name somewhere, thingamstalling.com somewhere.
That's really cool.
CrossFit Ackerman.
But yeah, I would like to change it to that so I could just open anywhere, but I don't think they'd let you name it after yourself anymore.
Probably not.
No, I think I still own the CrossFit Soulshine affiliate, but even though I don't have a spot.
Right.
Talk to me about that. You say brick and mortar, like you had affiliates, you were, successful at owning affiliates and running them. Were you owner operator for the most part, or?
Yeah, I mean, for all three, I was heavily involved, especially Albany Cross. I was there all day, every day.
Right. And then you decide to make a switch away from the brick and mortar business and into the online business. Talk about that real quick and what that meant for you in terms of not profitability, but just, maybe biggest bang for your buck.
I think what CrossFit has told me or taught me over the years often is just like chase after something with passion and chase excellence. Like Coach Glassman always talks about that. And a lot of things accidentally fall into place. So it wasn't like this conscious effort to transition from brick and mortar to online, but I sold the last box really so I can move. I was like, I'm sick of upstate New York. I'm sick of being cold. And I moved to Florida and had no income other than seminar staff. And I think a lot of the people on seminar staff are like yourselves who are entrepreneurs. We're just kind of like, okay, how are we going to, make money appear now? Like, that's really all I've ever done is like, how do I make money appear out of nowhere by starting something, like be it a gym or be it an online business? And I was like, okay, I got to figure out how to make money. And at the time I was really getting involved in flexible eating and my own nutrition. And that kind of just sparked this online nutrition coaching, which eventually became Own Your Eating. So it wasn't like, all right, I'm moving and I'm going to go online and figure this out. It just naturally evolved. And I don't think I'd ever be opposed to opening another gym again. Obviously, things have changed now. I'm anxious to see how all of this kind of rectifies itself after the coronavirus. But the nice thing about this virtual space is I could do it from anywhere. You can do it anytime. Oh, you got a little rugrat creeping in right here. You could do.
Hey, Felix.
Ok, j'ai oublié ça dans ton lit. Ok, va t'asseoir, maman, s'il vous plaît. Merci.
Wow, does he speak English, Felix?
He does. Yeah, he speaks a little bit of English.
He speaks to me in English because he knows I can't speak French.
He speaks more French than English?
Oh, yeah. He's fully French.
Is that normal?
I mean, Canada? Not well.
Well, if you're francophone.
I grew up in French, and I went to French school and everything, and my whole family's French, and because they're from Quebec, so I grew up French in an English city, so that's what I'm doing with my kids.
But you speak English so well.
It's because I live in an English city. I love how mind-boggling this is.
He's so confused.
Dude, you don't even know how many times I have this conversation with Americans. With Americans, like, wait a minute. You speak 2 languages well? Like, I don't get that.
But you speak 2 languages as if they're both your first.
Well, yes and no. It's like, other than at school and at home, when growing up, everything was English.
So you you learned them both kind of on the way up. So
yeah.
Which one are you more comfortable speaking in?
It depends. In CrossFit, English.
Because you learned it in English.
Yeah.
What about when you're angry?
That's a good question.
Well, I've only just really been getting angry at the kids. So French. Yeah.
All right. What about if pre-kids, you're dating, maybe it's your wife at the time, and you're like, I want to say something like loving, sexual, like potentially set the tone for the night. Is that going to be
Well,
French or English?
So it would have been English because I speak English with my wife when the kids aren't around.
Gotcha.
Because she's English. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
all right.
Enough of that.
I'm just always impressed by people that speak multiple languages because I've struggled with it, and like one thing I'm trying to do during this downtime is like stay mentally, smart and not just physically. Yeah, and so I'm trying to hop on Duolingo and take some Spanish, but it is a struggle.
It's tough, man. I've been
hard,
there.
Yeah,
Duolingo.
The later you do it, the harder it is, definitely, and that's why, like, when people ask me, or you ask anybody who's fully bilingual how they did it, they don't remember. Like, I don't remember learning English, and my kids won't remember learning English. It's just like they're just brought up that way, and that's why it's easy. Learning a language later in life, that's tough.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm not giving up just yet.
Yeah. ¿Hablas español un poquito?
Un poquito, yeah.
Oh, sí. Muy bien.
So I don't remember where we were going with this.
We were talking about the online business.
Yeah, I asked you the switch and how, that switch from brick and mortar to online is going to be very relevant, I think, in the near future.
Yeah. You were saying how easy it is to work from anywhere, which is an attractive part of it, obviously.
It's attractive, but at the same time, it's unattractive in the sense, unless you really set rules and boundaries for yourself. And you could do this the same in brick and mortar, as I'm sure you guys have had plenty of late nights and early mornings. But I think the life of an entrepreneur, it's really important to, like Jocko. I mean, Jocko puts it the best, right? Discipline equals freedom. And whether it's because you're an entrepreneur or because of this time where we're quarantined, like, you need to have that discipline. My wife, who I met while Own Your Eating was kind of evolving, became my partner, and we never fought more. And then when we kind of decided to let her run Own Your Eating so I can work with Dave and Thunderbro, we're like, wow, turns out we don't fight if we're not doing business, right? Like, we get along really well, but like there were times where I'm like, this shit's not going to work. But it was only business. And so I would recommend, not going into business with your significant other would be smart, but also it just also happened, like, just rules. Like, we slowly evolved, but it was like, hey, after 8:00, no talking business, or if I'm in this room doing, like, that's why I'm in here now. So we're not disrupting each other, just kind of figuring those things out. So the idea of working virtually is very, very appealing, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's definitely some downsides.
So talk about the success of an affiliate, which is a very interpersonal relationship business, right? And online. So you've had success in both online and in person. So what are the similarities of that? Because it's probably a little bit harder to create those connections online as opposed to when you're physically in the gym teaching people how to squat, getting to know them personally. Like, how do you make that switch and be successful at it?
It's tough and I also think, when you look at the 6 criteria for effective coaching, I'm very good at one of them, presence and attitude. And it just, like, I'm so bad at the others that I really make up for. Like, I tell the story about my level 2 back in the day. The level 4, which is coming at some point, right, is the old level 2. So in 2008, I went to Santa Cruz. Have you guys ever been to the old HQ?
No.
If you look at the old videos, like where Greg Amundsen and Nasty Girls was filmed, that's where I did my level 2. So you get judged all weekend long by like Castro, Sherwood, Nicole, Glassman's there. And then at the end, for like the last 2 hours, they're just bringing people up the stairs to like this little fake loft that they built.
I've seen
giving
pictures,
giving them feedback. And then everyone's just coming down in tears. Like, no one's passing. Spieler was there and Tosh was there. And I believe those are the only other people that passed that level 2 with me. So I go up there and I'm like expecting the worst. And Nicole Carroll said, first Pat Sherwood goes, how do you think it went? Which is like a classic Sherwood line. And you're like, well, until I saw everyone coming down in tears, I thought it went well. So then Nicole Carroll goes, Jay, you're not a great coach, but people really like being around you. And I was like, thank you, Nicole. And I passed. But I've always kind of ran with that. And I think to some extent it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like I never considered myself a great coach. I was just like, I'm fun and people enjoy being it. And that's really more important. But that's how you build community. And it's a struggle. Like doing it in person is a lot easier where you can shake hands and talk and make eye contact. Even these Zoom calls that we're on are so much better when you can see the other person, right? So it's hard to replicate that virtually. We struggled with On Your Eating for that, but like Thunderbro, for example, the community is great. So I think part of it is having that like shared suffering of we're doing the same workouts as each other. We talk about those workouts. You can see that, but it's not as easy. And I know for me, I've had so many nutrition clients over the years that I'll run into them at like and you guys experience this from level ones. Like someone a year later will come up to you, be like, I have no idea who you are, So it's like, it's a different vibe. Like I've met people that took their level one like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, have we met? Because it's like during that weekend, like I know your name, I know you, and then we kind of, it's a weird skill set like that only, I mean, unless they're listening.
There's a few guys.
I always feel bad when that happens.
We know a few guys on staff that are just that good, and they'll remember everybody. But you're right.
James is one of those people. James is excellent at that. Yeah.
James and Austin are both phenomenal at that. And it's funny you say that because like you spend a weekend with that person, and the interactions that you have with that person are perceived so differently from their side. Right. And it's in the moment, and I'll speak honestly, like in the moment you're into it, but like when you go home, like, I don't know if I rarely think back at like, oh, this person or this or that, like it's, sometimes I treat it too much like a job, but
no, I was going to say that it's a job that's like so prestigious to so many people that when they meet you, they're putting you in this high regard, especially those that have been around or maybe revalidating, those guys that like know how challenging it is to get on staff. And I think you're right. Like I've worked over 200 seminars. You guys are, I'm sure, getting up there. And it's like, there's definitely a portion in the middle there where you're like, all right, punching in, I'm working. And that's not to say we don't care and we're not passionate and we want to help, but then you kind of check out, you leave, they run into one another. There became a point probably about a year ago where I was like, okay, I need to remember that. And I need to remember how important this is to that person. And that's, I get it in the book again, like that's something I talk about with Chuck Carswell. I said this, I forget who I said this to, but Chuck Carswell is basically the CrossFit equivalent of Buddha. I don't know if you guys, like, how familiar you are. Like,
Church of Chuck.
Just such a good dude that, like, everyone, like, there's not many people in the world that unanimously people like.
Yeah.
That you'll find someone like, you guys are good guys, but I can dig and find someone that hates Pete Shaw. I know I
for
could.
sure.
Right?
I mean, you don't have to look too far to find people who hate me. It's fine.
But like,
just look to his
the
neighbor.
only other person you can think of are like The Rock. Like he has like kind of like this unanimous love. They can't do any wrong.
Right. Yeah.
But the point is, like Chuck once said, always ask one more question.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a Chuck Carswell statement that I remember specifically from him. And I was like, okay. And a lot of times, and I've been lucky that I worked with Chuck quite a bit when I was in Florida, I would always like literally like, what would Chuck do? Like try to think like that. And I think in a good way, it like gets participants to be like, this guy's my buddy. He's my best friend. But then also kind of like not have them realize, hey, we do check out at the end of this.
And I guess even in the virtual world, like people can still tell, if you care, if you're reaching out to them and asking one more question, whether it's like through email or text or whatever. And
I still try to do that, especially that's what I try to do. Like when someone DMs me, even if it's just like, hey, I bought the book, I love it. Like, what chapter did you like? Or somebody shot an email to Thunderbro the other day. Just, I want to buy this book. I'm a rugby player and I played rugby in college. I was like, oh, what position did you play? Like, just trying to find something. Because especially when you talk about the virtual world, I mean, you can go on Instagram and immediately right now find 20 workouts to hit for free, right? So it's like, well, what's going to separate you? Well, when I message you, you cared about me. So,
yeah,
you know, it's not easy, but it's something that can definitely help separate you.
it does, and it's also the question that you're asking will help you personally remember that person. Right?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's also a good tactic to help you remember that person. So if you're only answering the messages on Instagram with thank you, hope you enjoyed it, you know, then it's different than you know, asking whatever chapter or whatever. You know, we're getting messages on Instagram now, and it's like, hey, well, what did you find hard in that workout? Things like that, you know, so people can interact. So I guess that's the answer there. It's like, hey, if you're taking everything online, just make sure to interact with people, right?
Yeah, and especially, I mean, right now, I mean, I think we're all lucky enough to have, you know, somebody at home that we care about and love, but there's probably plenty of people that don't, that are just like, I'm alone. And like that interaction could be the bright spot of their day.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what's best hour of their day going to do if we never get out of quarantine?
That's a good question.
I know what best hour of their day is doing right now.
What are we doing? I just called Fern, so if you can fill me in, let me know. No, I think we're just, you know, really pushing the podcast. You know, I'm lucky enough, and we reach out to people and they want to come on. I think it's just a good platform that we have no agenda other than highlighting the people that come on, and we're not trying to be confrontational. So I think people like doing that, and I think the episodes where Fern and I talk about coaching, we are concerned. It's like, hey, what happens if this coaching world changes? But I think we'll adapt and figure that out.
You know what I love about you know what episodes I love are the ones where you guys just break down a movement. Like you guys literally just talk about the air squat for an hour. Like I never thought that would be possible, but you guys manage it. Like it's great.
I've seen some squat lectures last about an hour. So I know it's possible.
It's easier when you have a demo there doing that, but those are like I was saying, like we've had some amazing guests on, and a handful of them have really bumped up the downloads. But for the most part, it's the episodes of Fern and I talking that do the best. I mean, we've had some guests. I had Mark Bell on a week ago, and I'm like, this is going to blow up. Everyone's going to love it. And it did, you know, as well as, you know, if I had a local box owner come on. Right. But then Fern and I will talk about, you know, shitty athletes. Like we have an episode called Coaching Shitty Athletes that's got like 10,000 downloads. And we're like, all we did was get on and talk about people we don't like coaching.
Well, amazing. I mean, that's relevant to a lot of box owners and coaches out there.
I think
that subject right there.
I think our most popular episode is eliminating barriers for the gym. Definitely. So we just got on there. It was just a bunch of us. We just started shooting the shit, talking about eliminating barriers for people to enter the gym and start CrossFit.
Yeah, that's a great topic. I think, you know, I don't know how you guys feel. Like since we've been quarantined, I've realized how much there is to consume, from books to YouTube to, you know, Netflix. It's overwhelming. And I think a lot of it is there's a lot of replications, a lot of the same stuff. So when you put something unique out there, people are more drawn to it.
I went to your website and I took a look at your mentorship program, and you guys have
join it? You want to, we can help you.
I don't know what it's about. Maybe you're going to have to tell me about it first. So I looked at the map though, and I was impressed. You guys have a little map up there that shows like a little blip on the map, just like PT's got in the back of his screen there, of all the people that are, I guess, part of your mentorship program, right? Is that what?
Yeah. I mean, I think that map's a little outdated. When we first opened it, you know, we could follow every person, and it's like manually I had to pinpoint that in there, but it was cool how they're all over the place. We like the podcast and like the book, it wasn't anything we were like, hey, let's write a book and then launch a podcast and then we'll do this. It was just like we say at Level Ones, like this has developed because of you guys. And it was the same thing. People asked us to mentor them, like whether it's they want to pass their level 3 or just become a better coach. So we started doing it and people started signing up. And again, in that virtual space, it was one of those things where if you just do the right things for the right reasons, you could magically create something pretty special.
And what do I do? I sign up, and because I want to be mentored by Jason Ackerman, and you get to FaceTime me. We do a Zoom call every day, or what?
It's evolving still, but we have a Slack group where there's always questions, and we put out kind of thought-provoking questions and get them to answer. And then currently we have 2 live calls a week, and then we save them and archive it. So whether you just join, you can watch all of them. I mean, there's hundreds of hours now, but you could always watch the most recent one. We just put them up unlisted on YouTube. So, people can catch up. And even for those, sometimes it's very specific. Like we're talking about, the What is Fitness lecture. Fern just did a full hour on that, or it could be a Q&A. So we're really just trying to help people get better. As you guys know, people take their level 1 and then it's like, okay, now what? For most people, it's just they coach and they get 0 feedback ever again. But there are people that care about their development, and those are the people that wind up finding us.
I talked about that with Fern, obviously, a little bit in the podcast I did with him for Best Hour of the Day, and it was just like, how do you get better? So that's great that you guys have a program that people can reach out and get better at coaching if they had never have any eyes on them. What's your so obviously if you have a mentorship program right now, how's that blowing up in terms of questions right now? Like how are your mentees dealing with everything, and how are you helping them?
That's still evolving too. I mean, there's a lot. Fern's doing great because he's gone online for his box, CrossFit Rife. So whatever he learns, he just tries to share with them. And we're keeping this stuff a little broader. Like I said, we just did a What is Fitness lecture and Q&A. So when people go back, they, are at least developing a better education and knowledge base. A lot of the people that join ultimately have the desire to get on staff. So they just want to learn that stuff a little bit better or pass. We've got like this tremendous track record for people taking and passing their level 3. When I was at Wadapalooza, just like hard to believe that was a month ago. Like we were out flying and around other people, right? But I mean, I had, I think 3 people from the mentor group come up to me that they passed their level 3. That's really, cool. That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody though about, we were like, how crazy is like a month ago, we were literally at Wadapalooza. Yeah. Now we're quarantined.
I know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about this, I think yesterday in one of the podcasts we did. It's just like in a matter of, for me, it was like a matter of 12 hours. Yeah. Went from like this, not concerned at all, to like, holy shit.
We were in Montreal. we were in Montreal about to do a sanction event. Yeah. We were about to do the Atlas Games. We were in Montreal. we were in our hotel rooms, and literally the day we got there, we were about to sign in, and then there's buzz about the event being like postponed or canceled, or they're doing crazy stuff, like because Montreal just went on lockdown. And then,
so you were actually there ready to compete?
We were there ready to compete. Dude, and then within a matter of hours. Yeah, like the equipment was there. It was rolled out. It was, and then within a matter of hours, they called all the athletes into like a giant briefing, and they canceled the whole thing. It was crazy.
Well, yeah, I only know a lot about it because Dave was planning on going there. He was in Florida.
Oh, yeah, that's right, with Camille.
Yeah, so they were about to go up there, and they decided kind of like around that time prematurely. They were panicked a little prematurely about everything. So they were going to go, and they were just like, we're not going. But then it turned out it got canceled. But I didn't realize it got that close. I kind of stopped paying attention once they decided they weren't going. I didn't realize it got that close to actually going through with it.
I was at Matt DeBrook's gym, just doing like a little warm up, loosen up workout the day before competition. And like, I'm looking at my phone, like the NHL gets canceled as I'm working out. Like, the Montreal in States ban on gatherings up to like 500 people. And so they were trying to work with the city to make it happen, but because everyone was there like ready to go, but then it was just, they didn't want the liability, I guess.
So as games athletes, are you training as if this is going to so I'm a big UFC fan, and there's one fight that everybody's waiting for. It's supposed to be April 18th
Are they going to
And,
do it without fans?
So if it happens, they're definitely doing it without fans. But whether or not it's going to happen, but in my mind, I'm like, as these fighters, I try to be, put myself in their shoes. Could I train at the level I need to? Like, you got to have that deep feeling of this is not happening, right? So how is that impacting you, especially, and then throw on top of that, you're training in your, what appears to be your basement.
It is my basement. I talked about this with Fern. I was like, I mean, whether or not I'm going to the games, like I'm training the same way regardless. So it doesn't really change a whole lot for me. It definitely, like, it's a little bit of a mental hurdle to get over, but I think it was less about the games and the mental hurdle for me, and the more about getting used to training at home alone.
And that's where you're training, like right behind you.
Yep. Just on the
Like,
other side of the couch over there.
yeah, to me, there's always been like that also, like the benefit of the box is it's open. It's like whenever I trained at home, and I've had 2 different garage gyms, it's like you just feel a little more claustrophobic. It's
Yeah.
just, it's different. But I mean, the
Can't let
benefit,
loose.
yeah. And at least that if this does happen, everyone's in the same boat, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's also bigger things to worry about going on in the world. There's there's frontline medical staff that don't have friggin' the proper protection against, this virus and stuff. And so there, the Olympics got moved. Like, I'm sure there's Olympic athletes that aren't going to be able, for whatever reason, to make next year.
That was a huge thing too. Like, they canceled the NCAA basketball tournament, which everybody cares about. I don't care about basketball, but they also canceled the wrestling tournament. And to me, that was more heartbreaking, because I'm like, you don't know how hard those people, I mean, you guys get it. It's similar to you, but then imagine throwing into all of that, your training you're doing, like having to cut weight on top of that. It's like, and knowing not that may be your last chance ever. Like, you'll make it to the games again. These guys will literally never be given the opportunity because they're graduating college. So it's like, I think obviously staying safe and keeping the frontline people healthy is the number one priority. But there are people that it's upsetting. It's sad to see that. You feel for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that's just entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
What is sport? What is sport?
How long is this podcast? That's a great question.
I mean, sport is entertainment, man. Like, it's just, I think Pete has a wicked outlook on it, and it's probably hard for him to have it because he freaking qualified for the games, and it might not happen. But, like, if you don't have the mindset that Pete has right now, and you're thinking, oh, I qualified for the games and now I can't go, that sucks. Like,
yeah, you can't feel sorry for yourself. Yeah, you can't feel sorry for yourself, and it's way out. I mean, the other book I have over on my nightstand is The Daily Stoic. So it's like, I get it. Like, you can't let that mess with your head. But I don't think there's anything wrong with being upset. Like, I think you're entitled to that. And,
yeah,
for sure.
But let me ask you, the following up on your statement there, Paul. It's entertainment for us. It's not entertainment for the people competing, right? Like, Pete would show up at the games if no one else was ever going to see it.
Yeah.
And that's the same for like these.
He's also not making a living out of it. Like, there's like a handful of CrossFitters that this is their job.
Yeah, and I mean,
and the fact that they can't go to the CrossFit Games this year means that they might not get a paycheck that they're used to. But how many people is that? 5, 6?
Yeah, and I don't think this is going to impact Matt Frazier or Tia's sponsorship. It's the people like Pete, and I'm not trying to make Pete's going to leave this feeling depressed. I'm not trying to do that, but it's like,
I'm
hey,
good, man.
If Pete would have showed up and been on the podium, all of a sudden these doors open, right? Where now we don't know what he's not given. But I agree. I mean, it is all entertainment, but I don't think for like the NCAA wrestlers, CrossFit's different. But for like
the other thing too is in any sport, like if you ask any athlete who's had a long career in their sport, like why they do it, they usually do it because they love it, and they would be doing it regardless of where they stood in terms of like ranking worldwide in that sport, whether it's hockey or CrossFit or skiing. the athletes that last the longest are the ones that just continue to do it because they love doing the sport for what it is, and they don't really care where they end up on the podium or what competitions they're in. And that's kind of my attitude, is like, and maybe I get that a little bit rubbing off on me as an affiliate owner and being part of CrossFit seminar staff, to get that perspective of that greater vision of what CrossFit really is beyond just the sport. The sport is so fun, and I will always do it and I'll always compete, but it's a lifestyle for me, so whether it's in my basement or in the affiliate with Paul, then I'm just going to continue to hit the workouts hard. I'm going to send the videos to Paul afterwards so you can try and beat me.
And I agree with you. And I hope, I don't know, we don't know what's going to happen this year, but I hope that when the games next year comes around, they invite the people that qualified, should they cancel the games this year.
Yeah. And again, like, they're not going to pick up the NHL where they left off and start the points system, where it ended today. Can
you guys pick an American? Can you pick an American sport to use as an analogy?
Baseball.
I only follow.
Baseball hasn't started yet. So
yeah, I follow UFC
Basketball.
and a little bit of CrossFit.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree with you. Point is, hey,
yeah,
there's uncertain times. There's far worse things that could be happening.
Exactly. And you know what, that whole mindset is something too. Virtually, we're trying to sort of push onto our members a little bit. Is like, they have it's not that much of a different perspective, just on a different scale, coming into the CrossFit gym every single day and hitting a hard workout against their buddies. Like, for a lot of them, they're leaderboarding on our Sugar Watt app every single day. They're trying to beat each other. Like, that's their little competition. And now they can't do that. So, they're devastated. They're at home, maybe alone, like you were talking about before. And we're trying to keep our members motivated by, like you said, maybe reaching out, asking that one extra question to just sort of push them and get them used to working out in awkward spaces like the basement.
I think it's cool too, though. I saw James post, and I think he's right about it, or he was quoted. Like, people are going to come back to the box really fit, because we're doing workouts that I'm doing longer workouts than ever, because I've got not that I have the time. This is a cop out. Like, if I go longer, obviously the intensity decreases a little bit, kind of like what Paul was saying about the support your local box workout. Like, if that was 20 minutes, it'd be harder to maintain. So I've been doing longer because it's a struggle for me right now to just get moving. And I'm like, okay, I need to find workouts that almost allow me to warm up during them, and then go a little longer to make up for this lack of intensity. But there's probably something in there that's going to make me better when I'm ready to hit workouts again. And also just the equipment, like, I'm using almost exclusively dumbbells and kettlebells and body weight. So
Big time.
I did last Sunday 400 meters of walking lunges. And I mean, it was until about Thursday that I wasn't like crazy sore.
Dude,
we programmed that at the gym. Programmed that at the gym many times. One of them was a overhead walking lunge with a plate, 400 meters.
Well, and you get in your head, like, when you get that soreness, like, I think when you grow up like we do, we're like, oh, I got to do that again.
Well,
so I was like, I'm going to do that again.
When's the last time you hit 1,000 air squats in a week too? Like the
limitation, the amount of volume,
the limitation on equipment, like the volume per like specific movement, like burpees and push-ups and these. I feel like every 2 days I'm doing a hero's wad worth of push-ups and air squats.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly the point. It's going to prepare us for something different when we go back, and it just forces you to change it up. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And then, I'm also, like I was saying earlier, trying to, whether it's learn another language, or Roz and I, my wife, we've been doing like a daily yoga practice. I'm like, hey, we can take this quarantine time as an opportunity to feel sorry for ourselves, or as an opportunity to kind of level up in different ways.
Big time.
And I think, that you're going to come out of this whole thing healthier if you really try to find areas of your life that you can improve.
Man, I can't help but look at the stuff that we're doing now and then look back at CrossFit.com launched on January 1st last year. And it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That was the best meme I saw, was from Make Wads Great Again, where it's like Tom Cruise laughing about like Coach Glassman. Because January 1st, 2019, the Married with Children set and the antifreeze stuff, and now it's like that's literally what we're all.
Every single person's doing that, and all the strict pull-ups and all the air squats that were programmed, like it was relentless.
Yeah, more. Yeah. I mean, if you do have a pull-up bar at home, I mean, you could do some kipping there, but most people are jamming it in their doorway.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not kipping in their doorway. No, I mean, I don't think Coach Glassman was expecting the business, ramifications of it, but he definitely was ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah. Jay, Ackerman, let's I'll ask you one last question just as a send off. If you were an affiliate owner right now, and you were going through these times with the COVID and the closures and all that, what would be your advice to affiliate owners?
I would say do your best to keep your community as strong as possible, which probably means some sort of daily workouts like most boxes are doing, but also reach out to every member, like I would Zoom with them. Like whoever the creators of Zoom must be, if anybody started this thing, I think it was the creators of Zoom, right? I mean, they benefited tremendously, but I'd be on a phone call with all of them, be talking about their goals, and I would be doing more than just one workout a day isn't enough. Like you have to keep people mentally healthy, and it's conversations like this. I'd probably have a book club. Like, hey, if NCR wants to have a book club, I'm willing to donate my book to every one of your members for free, signed PDF copy. So happy to do that if you want to start it. I would do other things like.
That's cool.
I'm running a trivia night for my box in Florida on Wednesday. So you got to do some things like for so many, think about your members. So many of them, like your box was their only outlet and now it's been taken away. And we need to be there for them beyond just the workouts are the foundation, but there were so many other things they got from that box that we have to keep going. Because this may be going on for, 30, 60, 90 days. Yeah. At some point, they're going to go elsewhere for workouts. They're going to keep coming to you for the community.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's great advice.
That's great advice.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Well, thanks for coming on,
let me
man.
know. Hit me up. I'll get you guys definitely a copy. And if your members want it, I'm very happy to share.
Yeah. I would love a copy, and just hit me with an e-signature too, so I can, say that you.
I'm gonna slap it right on there. You're gonna get it.
Love it.
That's
okay,
a great.
What?
That's a great idea. That's just a great idea. I mean, it's getting to the point where we're never gonna leave our homes again.
No, I know.
Like ever.
This is, crazy. Felix is gonna be just running around naked over there.
Oh my God!
He'll be speaking Spanish by the time this is all done.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Ackerman. Good to see you, bud.
We'll talk to you soon.
Stay safe.